Hello everyone, welcome back to CloudOps Craft. Today we are going to discuss about Docker security in our Docker interview series. Okay, let's start. First question is why running containers as root is risky? If they ask this question to you, the entry context will be interviewers want to know if you understood privilege escalation and host compromises risks. Okay, let me explain this. The thing is, containers run with the root inside the container by default. If your vulnerability in the containerized app or kernel is exposed, an attacker could again gain root access on the host. This is especially risky with bind mounts or misconfigured C groups. Okay, running as a non-root user limits damage scope. Okay, so we can go with the least privilege principle. Okay, and reduces attack surface. So how to answer an interview? Okay, running as a root is risky because if the container is compromised, the attacker could potentially attack the host or other containers. I always define a non-root user in the Docker file, which is user app user or something like that, and restrict capabilities. Okay, this is how I'll explain. Second question: how to minimize attack surface? If they ask this question, they are looking for strategies to reduce vulnerabilities and unnecessary components. Let me explain. Use minimal base image like Alpine to reduce installed packages. Okay, and remove build tools and unnecessary binaries in production images. Avoid exposing unnecessary ports. Okay, limit environmental variables that contain secrets. Okay, disable privileged mode and extra capabilities. Apply security patches promptly. So how to answer an interview? I minimize attack surface by minimizing base image, removing unnecessary packages, running as a non-root user, exposing only required ports, and applying security patches consistently. This is how I'll explain. Okay, what are image scanning tools? If they ask this question, they are checking if you know how to detect vulnerabilities before deployment. Okay, image scanning tools analyze container images for known vulnerabilities in OS package and application dependencies. Example, you can go with Docker scan. Okay, you can use Docker scan. You can go with Docker scan, and you can go with Trivi. I already made a video how to do test with Trivi. Okay, if you haven't watched it, check my Docker series. Okay, you can find a video recording Docker security. Okay, and you can use Anchor. Okay, so these tools can be integrated into CI/CD pipelines to prevent vulnerable images from being deployed. So how to answer an interview? I use tools like Privy or Docker Scan to scan images for CVEs. Okay, so in CI/CD, I fail the build if critical vulnerabilities are detected to prevent insecure images from reaching production. Okay, the next question: what's Docker content trust? If they ask this question, they want knowledge of image signing and authenticity verification. Okay, let me explain. Docker content trust DCT allows signing and verification of images using notary. It ensures images come from a trusted source and haven't been tampered with. When enabled, Docker pull and Docker push verify signatures. Okay, so how to answer in interviews? Docker container test ensures image integrity and authenticity. Okay, I enable it so only signed images from trusted sources are pulled. Okay, preventing deployment of tampered images. Okay, so the next question: how to manage secrets safely? If they ask this question, the entry context will be they test knowledge of sensitivity in data handling in containers. Okay, let me explain. Do not hard code secrets in Docker files or environmental variables. Okay, use Docker secrets in Swarm or Kubernetes secrets in KTS. Okay, use mounted files with restricted permissions. Integrate with wallet solutions like HashiCorp Wallet, AWS Secret Manager. Okay, so ensure secrets are removed from images after build. Okay, so how to answer an interview? I store secrets outside the image using Docker secrets or a secrets manager. Mount them at runtime and avoid exposing them as environmental variables in production. Okay, so the next question: Difference between runtime and build time security. If they ask this question, interview context will be the checks understanding of security at the different stages of container lifecycle. Okay, so let me explain build time security and runtime security. You must know this. Okay, while coming if you are working in Docker. Okay, first is build time security. Okay, vulnerabilities in base image, dependencies, and Docker file misconfigurations and all will come to build time security. Okay, vulnerabilities in base image. Okay, dependencies and Docker file misconfigurations. Okay, while coming to runtime security, container isolation, okay, privilege escalation, okay, network access, capable network process capabilities, file system exposure. All will come under runtime security. Okay, so security measures should cover both minimal base images, image scanning, build time, and non-root users, read-only file systems, and runtime profiles, all those things. Okay, how to answer an interview? Build time security ensures the image is clean and minimal. Runtime security ensures containers run safely without exposing the host. Okay, using non-root users, okay, under capability restrictions. Okay, remember this. Build time security ensures the image is clean and minimal. Okay, runtime security ensures container run safely without exposing the host. Okay, this is the thing. Next question. Capabilities, explain capabilities and privilege mode. If they ask this question, they want details about Linux kernel capabilities in Docker. Okay, by default containers have a subset of Linux capabilities. Okay, you can do you can enable privileged mode by using --- privileged, right? So grants all capabilities and access to host devices, increasing risk. Okay, capabilities can be added or dropped. Okay, you can use --- capabilities add, or you can go with - capabilities -drop. Okay, to limit the attack surface. Okay, so how to answer an interview? I avoid privileged mode unless necessary. I drop unnecessary capabilities and only add those required for container functionality. Okay, so the next question is real world scenario. Okay, container can access host files. Why? Because if they ask this question, interview context will be they test your ability to reason about host path, bind mounts, and permissions. Let me explain. Likely causes a host directory is a bind mounted into a container with two permissive permissions. Okay. Next is privileged mode or root user inside the container can access host files. Misconfigured volumes or read-write mounts can expose sensitive host directories. So how to answer an interview? This usually happens when a sensitive host path is bind mounted into a container or container runs as root. I could restrict mounts, use read only where possible, and run the container as non-root user. Okay. So the next question is how to secure registry access. Okay, entry context. They want to know, they want knowledge of private image handling and authentication. Okay, let me explain. Use HTTPS for privileged private repositories. Okay, recover authentication and tokens like username, password, or service account. Enable access control for users and teams. Okay, use DCT to verify signed images. Okay, scan images before pushing to registry. So how to answer an interview? I secure registry access with HTTPS. It requires authentication, limit permissions, and I use Docker content trust to verify images before deployment. Like that, you can explain. Next is role of seccomp profiles. If they ask this question, entry context will be they are testing kernel level runtime security knowledge. Seccomp filters restrict system calls a container can make. Default container profile blocks dangerous syscalls. Okay, so like mount, key, ctl, and all. Okay, so custom profiles can further tighten permissions. Okay, seccomp profiles prevent containers from making risky syscalls. Okay, I use the default Docker syscomp profile and create custom roles for high security workloads. Next is explain user namespace. Okay, if they ask this question, they check knowledge of container to host UID mapping. Okay, so user namespace map containers. Okay, it may be it will be okay UIDs, GIDs to host UIDs, GIDs. Prevent a host container user from having root privileges on the host. Enhances multi-tenant security by isolating container user from host users. How to answer an interview? I enable user namespace so root inside the container maps to an unprivileged UID on the host, reducing host compromise risk if the container is breached. Next question. How to detect vulnerabilities? If they ask this question, they want hands-on or tool knowledge for proactive security. Okay, so you can use image building tools, right, like your Trivi, Docker scan, okay, like that, to detect CVEs. CI/CD integration ensures images are scanned before deployment. Okay, runtime monitoring tools, you can go with Falco or Aqua to detect suspicious activities. Regular patching of base images reduces known vulnerabilities. Okay, so how to answer interview? I scan images with Trivi and Docker scan during CI, and optionally use runtime monitoring tools to detect suspicious behaviors in production. Okay, so the next question, Docker bench for security, what it checks? Let me explain. If they ask this question, the entry context will be they want knowledge of automated security audits for Docker host. Let me explain. Docker bench is a script that checks Docker host and Dockerd configuration against CIS benchmarks. It covers host configuration. Okay, let me tell. It covers host configuration, Dockerd settings, container runtime security, and networking and firewall rules. How to answer an interview? Docker bench audits host and containers against CIS best practices, checking Dockerd config, host security, container privileges, and network rules. I use it regularly for production auditing. Okay, this is how you can explain. The next question, how to apply principle of least privilege in Docker. If they ask this question, they want practical approaches for runtime security. Okay, so first what you can do, you can run containers as non-root users. This is must. Next, you can limit capabilities. As we discussed, you can use -cap -drop for unnecessary. Okay, so next is avoid privileged mode. Mount volumes read only where possible. Only expose required ports. Use network segmentation and restrict inter-container communication. I follow least privilege by running as non-root, dropping capabilities, limiting mounts and ports, and isolating networks, ensuring containers only have what they need to function. Next question: security checklist for production containers. Okay, if they ask this question, interview context will be they want to know, or they want you to demonstrate like a security mindset. Okay, it should be a security mindset. The checklist items is: first is minimal base image, patched and scanned, non-root user execution, seccamp and app armor profiles. Okay, secrets handled via Docker secrets or wallet. And next is read only file system where feasible, network segmentation, TLS for security access and API endpoints, CI/CD image scanning and signing, logging and monitoring, regular Docker bench audits. Okay, how to answer an interview: before deploying containers, I ensure minimal patched images, non-root users, security secrets, read only file systems, proper network segmentation, signed images, runtime monitoring, and periodic audits via Docker bench. Like that you can explain. Okay, so if you like this breakdown, subscribe to CloudOps Craft. We will simplify cloud and DevOps concepts every week. Thank you.